With all this quarantine stuff going on, I've had a chance to watch a lot more college football highlights as of late, and I've gotten a chance to watch some players who I think will become stars. In today's video, we'll be talking about one player in particular, and that is Alabama's Jaylen Waddle. I think he has the potential to not only be the best receiver in college football, but I also think he can be a superstar at the next level. If you are new to the channel, I make videos about college football, so be sure to subscribe, take a moment and like this video, drop a comment, share it with your friends, and turn on post notifications so you don't miss out on another video. Now let's get started with the rise of Jaylen Waddle. Alabama has had numerous superstar receivers over the last few years, including players such as Julio Jones, Amari Cooper, Calvin Ridley, and most recently, Jerry Jeudy and Henry Ruggs. This year, Waddle will be paired alongside Devontae Smith, and they should form one of the best receiver duos in all of college football. I really started to notice Waddle's talent when I rewatched the 2019 Iron Bowl game where he had 4 touchdowns. But let's bring it back in time a little bit and revisit where it all started. Jaylen Waddle was born and raised in the fertile football grounds of Houston, Texas, and he was a natural athlete from a young age. At 5'10", Waddle was undersized when he arrived at Episcopal High School, but what he didn't have in height, he made up in talent. Head coach Steve Lies knew what he had in Jaylen from the moment he stepped on the field, but due to the school's high academic standards, he held him out of football for most of his freshman season because he wanted him to focus on schoolwork and build good study habits for the future. Not only did that work, but he also got a chance to play in the playoffs his freshman year. Over the next few years, Waddle used his 4.3 speed to leave other teams in the dust and did a little bit of everything. For example, his junior year he caught 26 touchdowns, rushed for 4 touchdowns, and had 5 touchdowns returning kicks and punts. Despite being incredible, many scouts and schools doubted him because he was playing in the Texas Private School League and he was playing in a very weak talent pool. Because of that, he was only a 4-star recruit, and his coach had to campaign to get him into the Army All-American game. After that, rivals eventually bumped him up to a 5-star recruit, and he became a top 10 player in the state of Texas. Waddle had offers from schools such as Texas, Alabama, Texas A&M, Oregon, and Florida State, but it would ultimately come down to Alabama and Texas A&M. Because the Aggies were the hometown school, coupled with the fact that Jimbo Fisher was recruiting at a high level, many believed he would wind up in College Station. At the end of the day though, Waddle witnessed Alabama's true freshman receivers dominate in 2017, and he watched them ultimately win a national title. So Waddle committed to Nick Saban and the Crimson Tide. When Waddle arrived at Alabama, he joined a crowded receiver group that already included Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs, and Devontae Smith, but Jaylen knew what his role was going to be his freshman year. Prior year, the Crimson Tide had really struggled when it came to special teams, and more specifically, returning punts, so Waddle was going to get a chance to make an instant impact from there, and do that from the very beginning. As usual, Alabama was projected to win the SEC West and return to the national championship game. Tua Tagovailoa and Jalen Hurts were the team's quarterbacks, and Damian Harris, Josh Jacobs, and Najee Harris were the team's 3-headed monster in the backfield. Alabama opened up the season with a rout against Louisville, and Waddle caught 3 passes for 66 yards and had 80 punt return yards. As Alabama began to cruise, Jaylen got more comfortable and returned a punt for a touchdown and also caught 3 passes for 138 yards and 2 touchdowns, and it was by far his best career game. A few weeks later against Tennessee, he caught 4 passes for 117 yards and a touchdown, and then had a career-high 6 catches for 90 yards and 2 touchdowns against FCS-level Citadel. He also played well in their games against Auburn and Georgia in the SEC Championship. Just like he had anticipated, Alabama returned to the college football playoff after Jalen Hurts came back and saved the day, and they were matched up against Oklahoma in the first round. With what has now become a yearly occurrence, Oklahoma got killed by Bama in the first round, and Waddle caught 2 passes for 20 yards. In the national title game, both Waddle and the team struggled as Clemson demolished the Tide, and Jaylen only caught 2 passes for 25 yards on college football's biggest stage. On the year, Waddle finished second on the team with 45 catches for 848 yards and 7 touchdowns, while also becoming the SEC Freshman of the Year. In only his freshman year, Jaylen had become one of the best playmakers in the SEC, and things were only going to get better in 2019. As a sophomore, big things were expected out of both Jaylen and the Crimson Tide. Before the year started, Waddle was named to the Blitnikoff and Earl Campbell Trophy watch list, and he was projected to be a second-team All-SEC member. The Tide were also overwhelmingly favored to win the SEC West and return back to the college football playoff. They opened up the season against Duke in the annual Chick-fil-A kickoff game, and Jaylen caught 5 passes for 90 yards. Despite the terrific start, Jaylen really slowed down his next few games, as he only caught 7 passes in his next 4 games. Finally, things began to go back to normal as he returned 4 punts for 128 yards and was named the SEC Special Teams Player of the Week after his game against Texas A&M. Against LSU, he returned a punt for a touchdown, but it wasn't enough as they lost to Joe Burrow's Tigers. Against Western Carolina, Jaylen had a huge game in both receiving and punt returning, and he was once again named the SEC Special Teams Player of the Week. After Tua went down with his serious injury, the Tide ended up having to start Mac Jones. They just needed to beat Auburn, and there'd be a chance they could make the playoff. Not only was this one of the best games of 2019, but it was also the best game of Waddle's career to this point. After returning a punt 98 yards to the house, he also caught 3 touchdown passes in the second half, but after a missed field goal, Auburn won the Iron Bowl and their playoff chances were over. After the Iron Bowl, some Auburn players said, quote, Waddle is going to break a lot of records in 2020, and that's coming from an arch rival. Thankfully for Bama, they were matched up against Michigan in the Citrus Bowl, and they destroyed them pretty easily. After his sophomore year, Waddle became a second-team All-American returner, a second-team All-SEC member, as he caught 33 passes for 560 yards and 6 touchdowns. So you may be asking, why is this guy a future superstar if he hasn't even eclipsed 1,000 yards or even caught more than 7 touchdowns in a season? The first reason is he has put up really good numbers while being in a crowded receiver group that includes 3 likely first-round picks. Second, he runs a 4.3, is super explosive, and finds ways to get around almost every corner he matches up against. Thirdly, he can literally do everything. He would be a guy who can return punts and kicks, he can line up in the wildcat or other trick formations, and he can not only catch the ball, but he's a threat to take it the distance every time he gets his hands on it. Fourthly, this season, it'll likely be the Devontae Smith and Jaylen Waddle show, as Bama loses a ton of production, so Jaylen will likely get more targets and his stats will go up. Finally, this is a kid who's been doubted most of his life and has an insane work ethic, and couple that with his natural talent, he has every tool to be a superstar in college football and also in the NFL. I'm honestly really excited to watch him in 2020, and I hope you guys are too. If you're an Alabama fan, let me know in the comment section down below, and if you think Waddle will be one of the best playmakers in college football. He is currently projected to be the 3rd or 4th receiver taken in the draft, behind Jamar Chase, Rondale Moore, and Justin Ross. If you are new to the channel, please take a moment and subscribe, as I really need your help to hit 2.5k subscribers by the end of June, and if you enjoyed today's video, please be sure to give it a like, as it'll really help my channel grow. If you are still here, check out these other cool videos I have selected for you guys to watch next, and until next time, peace.